الحمد لله الذي خلق السماوات والأرض وجعل الظلمات والنور ثم الذين كفروا بربهم يعدلون. الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله لقد جاءت رسل ربنا بالحق. Okay, so we're on lesson 9. We're still in the beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah on page 4. And we reached the ayah. Yeah, you had Nas 21. We talked about that. Let's see what the ulama say about that. Which part did we reach? Yeah, you had Nas, O mankind. U'budu rabbakum. We said this was the first command in the Qur'an. U'budu rabbakum. And it's the first command in the Quran according to the way the Quran was organized as ordered by the Prophet ﷺ, and not according to what was sent down. We said the first command in the Quran according to the way the Quran was sent down was Iqra, read now. And this is one of the strongest evidences when it only being a one word of the obligation of seeking knowledge. Iqra. Because if the Prophet, this was the first command he was given while being illiterate. So how about those who are literate? The first command was given to our illiterate Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was Iqra, read. So then how about other than who actually had the ability to read? Now, so this is an order to seek knowledge. Rabbakum. And we said, and what? What is Rabb? Mika'il. What does Rabb mean? Things that go on in that class can trickle out into this class. Who remembers? It's the meaning of Lord, Rabb. We took with Rabb bin Nas. Arranger. Creator, sustainer, arranger, giver of life, causer of death, and the one who gives commands. That's the Rabb. So worship the one who does all that. Worship your Lord, the creator, the provider, the sustainer, the giver of life, the arranger of affairs, the causer of death, and the one who gives commands. And this is a command. Worship your Lord, the one that does all of those things. Wahdahu, so yeah, we did take this. Alone without any partners with him. And Allah mentioned how he created us in the nations that came before. And لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ التَّقْوَى الْوِقَايَةِ. Taqwa, it means to put a screen, a protection between yourself and that which could harm you. Come sit over here, Muhammad. So it means to put a screen, a protection between you and that which will cause you harm. And this is why another point that knowledge is obligatory. Like it is said, كيف يتقي من لا يعلم ما يتقي. How can a person protect himself from that which he doesn't know he needs to be protected? How can a person protect himself from something he doesn't know he needs to be protected? Does anyone understand that statement? Or does anyone misunderstand it? You don't understand, Elias. You don't understand it. It's kind of difficult, right? Okay. Think about a baby. Normally, babies only fear two things. What are they? Who knows? A baby, brand new born baby fears normally two things. What are they? Loud noise. What else? Falling. Take the baby, go, whoop, baby. You're scared. So normally a baby only knows two fears. Here's a loud noise, the baby starts crying. You take the baby too quickly, you might sit down too quickly with the baby, or you may be playing with the baby and hold the baby up like that and come down too swiftly. The baby does that, everybody laughs, right? After that, the baby has to be educated on what to fear. Because the baby doesn't understand harm. The concept of harm is foreign to a child, a newborn child. After that, the child is then informed. This is dangerous, and that is dangerous, and that. If you put a poisonous rattlesnake in front of a baby, the baby will try to touch it. What is one of the things that saved Musa alayhi salam from being killed by Fir'aun when he was an infant? Who knows? Muhammad taught it. Musa was an infant. Do you know about the story of Pharaoh with Bani Israel? Do you know about the story? Prophet Musa. No? He touched the fire instead of Ibrahim. Yes, Ibrahim told him. So what happened was they were trying to find out who is this child that's going to be born, and he's going to destroy the kingdom of Pharaoh. So they were what? As Allah Ta'ala said, وَإِذْ نَجَّيْنَاكُمْ مِنْ آلِ فِرْعَوْنَ يَسُومُونَكُمْ سُوءَ الْعَذَابِ يُذْبِحُونَ أَبْنَاءَكُمْ وَيَسْتَحْيُونَ نِسَاءَكُمْ وَفِي ذَلِكُمْ بَلَاءٌ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ عَظِيمٌ. Allah Ta'ala said, and when we saved you from the people of Fir'aun who were assaulting you with a severe torment, they were killing all of your boys and letting your women live and using them as concubines and slaves. And in that was a severe trial from your Lord. So during this time, because Fir'aun, he claimed he disbelieved, and Revelation disbelieved in Allah, yet at the same time, he has his whole military out looking for this child that's going to be born based on Revelation and destroy his kingdom. So he's looking for a child that he doesn't believe in. You see this? If he didn't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he didn't believe in the prophecy of Musa alayhi salam coming and destroying his kingdom, why would you be looking for the child? This is why Allah Ta'ala said, وَجَحَدُوا بِهَا. And they were arrogant against the revelation. But their souls were sure and yaqeen that it was true. But out of arrogance, they didn't submit. He knew if Fir'aun, and this is a proof, Iman with Ahl Sunnah is not enough to be conviction in the heart alone. Because Fir'aun and his people, Allah said, they had yaqeen that what Musa alayhi salam said was true. The proof of it is that he sent his whole military out looking for this child. You don't believe Fir'aun, you're still your God. So why are you looking for this child that's going to be born if you don't believe in it? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So it shows that he believed, but he didn't believe the type of belief that made him submit and follow. So belief without submission and following means nothing. Means nothing. So they were out looking. And then when Musa, Allah ordered his mother and so Taha to put him in to put him in this little wooden box, and then he flowed down the stream, and then he was picked up and like that, and taken to the castle of Pharaoh. They wanted to test, because one of the signs of this child is that he was very intelligent, even from birth. Like Isa alayhi salam spoke from the cradle, so this child is going to be intelligent. It's not going to be like any other child. So they took a torch and put it in the face of Musa alayhi salam. to see if he recognized fear. So what did Musa, Allah inspired Musa to do at this, as a brand new infant, stuck out his tongue, and it burnt his tongue. And it said, no, it's a regular child. Burnt his tongue, he didn't recognize fear. So it burnt his tongue, and this is where Musa, his speech impediment came from. And this is why he asked, also simple thought, Allah said what? Wazir min ahli. Harun, right? He said, send me an ambassador from my family. My brother Harun. The ulama say, no brother before or after Musa did or can make a better supplication. Nobody did before him, and after him is impossible to make a better dua for your brother, to make him become a prophet. SubhanAllah. His dua made Harun a prophet. It made dua that Allah sends an ambassador with him from his family that can speak and articulate better than him. Because of his dua, Allah accepted his dua and made Harun alayhi salam a prophet like his brother. So nobody before Musa alayhi salam did such, and nobody after him can do it because there's no more prophecy. Now,
the details about Musa's childhood, either from the Israeliyat or from the Hadith.
We have both. We have both now. So this is where Musa alayhi salam, his speech impediment came from. So he didn't recognize fear, Elias. So you understand, this is what it means. How can somebody protect themselves from something they don't understand? How can someone protect themselves from something that they don't understand is a danger? So Musa alayhi salam was a baby. They put the fire in front of him. He doesn't know what fire is. He's a newborn. So he stuck his tongue out to lick it. And he burnt his tongue. So that goes with everything else. How are we going to know when Allah says, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, perhaps you will achieve taqwa. Taqwa means to protect yourself from something that's going to harm you. فَكَيْفَ يَتَّقِي مَنْ لَا يَعْلَمْ مَا يَتَّقِي. How can someone protect themselves from something they don't even know is harm? So knowledge is important, because not having knowledge means a person goes into all types of issues that is harming them in their deen and in their dunya, and don't even realize it. They don't even realize it. So seeking ilm, because Allah orders to have taqwa, and taqwa, it can be loosely translated as having consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we go about. And then a lot of times it's translated as fear of Allah. But never, I don't care what word is, khawf, at-taqwa, ar-rahba, any of these words that are translated as fear and reverence and like that, but no word concerning Allah should be translated as scared. Scared. We're not taught to be scared of Allah. We know the difference between being scared and being afraid.
Isn't scared like well, afraid, isn't it like you turning away or whatever? I think, and then scared.
But why is a person afraid? And why are people scared? And when do you see it being used the most? 1 minute, Abdul Khalid.
Because like what can do after?
Again?
What it can do after, like being afraid or
because what? Say that again. This is perfect.
What it can do after, like the effect of what you've done can do after.
Okay, the effect of what you've done, or the thing that you fear, what it can do. That's what you fear. The point is, I'll take your answer.
Now, me have like you're scared. You don't know. There's this knowledge, basically a difference. The being afraid of something. The capability of the thing that can harm you.
Nah. So the difference between being scared, that's why it's not used in the right of Allah, and being afraid and fear. Muhammad, you have something?
When said I'm scared, like afraid is like.
Take your time. Take your time.
When you say like you're afraid of Allah, you're afraid of the actions that we're gonna do, because it's gonna come like at the day of judgment.
Nah, mashallah. You're afraid of the action that you do. Mm-hmm. Nah, the consequences.
Right. I don't know how to explain this.
No, but that was a good point you made. Little Muhammad, what were you about to say? Okay, so Fear is based on knowledge. Fear is based on knowing, as our brother Abdul Khabir mentioned, the capability of what this thing can do. It's permissible. And fear, in the most general sense, as Muslims, that we believe in as Muslims, are two types. Al-khawf al-tabi'i, natural fear, like a lion, or being in a car accident, or falling from a tall building, when the possibility exists. And it is haram to have fear, even of a thing that has the ability to harm, when the possibility of that harm reaching you is what? It's distant. It's distant. This is a form of insanity. This is what they would call paranoia. Paranoia. When somebody says, "Oh, no, there's lions," and he lives in a land where there are no lions. And he's like, I feel like lions are going to attack me. This is paranoia. This is a form of insanity.
What about like in a dream?
Right, that's even worse. A dream. It can harm you. It's a dream. So if a person in the dream fears, that's different. He's dreaming. It's not accountable. But comes in the dream, oh, I had a dream. Lions attacked me. You never know what can happen. And every day, no, this is paranoia. Yeah. All right. So fear. So you have natural fear, and then you have al-khawf al-shar'i. Then you have legislated fear, which is religious. And a person can fall into shirk if he fears something that does not have the ability to harm him, the fear that is only due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is the only one that can seize you whenever, wherever, however. Nothing else has that ability. So when someone fears something created to the point he believes, as the kuffar taught their children, he sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake, right? They taught them that about who? Satan claws, right? So they taught them that, right? What is that? No one has that ability to see you when you're sleeping, to know when you're awake, to know if you've been bad or good. There's a creation that has that ability. Anyone knows a creation that has that ability? Sees you when you're sleeping, knows you when you're awake, knows if you've been bad or good? Huh? So this is giving that type of fear and consciousness to a man. And if you do your research of the stories of Satan claws, la ilaha. You look up this individual, you looked it up, you have to do research on it. There's a book called, and I forget the name of the brother who wrote the book, but it's called Signs, Symbols, and Religion. And you know who? Do you know? Remember the author?
Give me a minute.
This book, he went into the detail of the many stories of where Santa was some letters moved around Satan, right? And one story is the story of Eastern Europe. Some say around Russia, that this actually was a man who was a serial killer. No, the story of the man who ended up, and then they end up turning the story and making it a jolly one, but in reality, it was a story of a man who was breaking into people's homes through windows and killing them. He was, and they would say, "Be careful, you better not stop, because he's gonna come kill you." He was a serial killer.
Is it cookie or cupcake?
That's something else. No, that's something else.
There's a muffin man.
No, that's something else. Something else. Muhammad is something else.
The things also said about this, what I've heard is that it's that the bad kids either get and take them into the hell. That was a part of the story.
Yeah, he would get the bad kids, but how does he decide who's bad? And like that. So these are the stories. These are the things that were flipped around, but a lot of did you find it?
I did
Yeah. Anyway, inshallah, we'll get the book because it's a good read if you wanted somebody who did. The name of the book is Signs, Symbols, and Holidays. That's what it's called. Signs, Symbols, and Holidays. Huh? Not religion. No, holidays.
Okay.
I messed up. Yeah, it's Signs, Symbols, and Holidays. Amazing research he did. And he made it short. He didn't make it long. And he went into Easter, and he went into Christmas, and he went into Halloween, and the root of it, and what it came from, and who celebrated it. And it's an amazing book. It's a good read. Good read. Get it. Wait, I'll get with you. Nah, inshallah. So this is only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we have that fear of everywhere, anywhere, anytime, that Allah has the ability I think, what's his name? Sign symbols and holidays. Yeah, it is. What's his name?
Imam Aladdin Shabazz.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Imam Aladdin Shabazz.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah. That book, nice research. Nice research. No, no. I read it years ago, like in the early 90s. It's a really good book. No. But to know the history of these things, you know, so Muslims don't fall into them by accident is a
These
lie.
stories are not known to people from Asia because these are Western.
Holidays.
You guys were talking about, but no, we heard about when we came here.
Yeah.
But the myths and all those things, we never heard them. And when we were growing up in India,
Yeah.
there was different stories there.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? And Doctor, that's a good point that you bring up because travel, people, you're Americans, travel, see the world. You're going to find out how irrelevant things that go over here are, going over here are. In Egypt, for instance, you have Christians in Egypt. They celebrate Christmas in January. They don't December, they have nothing to do with that. They celebrate in January. They celebrate Christmas in January, late January.
The Coptic.
The Christians, yeah, they have nothing. This December 31st thing, it has nothing to do with that. And they're all great. Look at the Muslims. Ramadan, same time everywhere in the world. Christmas, here you have it one time. Even here in America, Christmas used to be in January, then it used to be in March, then it used to be in the summer, and they kept moving it around based on economics. Okay, we want to create a financial craze towards the end of the fiscal in order to boost, to make up for what? Shoplifting and losses and like that. So if we do a fiscal boost, boom, we can make up that profit that was lost. Like it's economics. It's economics. That's what they won't teach you in school. Economics. Why? Because economics makes you free. Economics makes you free. They'll teach you how to get a job, but they will not teach you how to invest. They say you're going to have to pay taxes, but they won't teach you how to do them and how to avoid them. Which is a side issue. We have a network on Islamic economics to talk about that, because that's important, especially for you young men growing up and thinking about getting married and having children. It's better to have a financial plan before you have a financial burden. Now, something really important that we have to prepare you for, to have a financial strategy. Financial strategy. No. Now, so we don't have that fear. We're not scared of them. Spooky. Scared like something under the bed, something in the closet. Oh, it's going to get me. It's going to get me. No. We don't believe that Allah is coming to get us. That's being scared. It's going to come get me. It's going to come. We don't think about Allah like that. We think of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah ta'ala is merciful and He's generous. And He may punish us when we do wrong. So as little Muhammad was saying, Elias was saying, that the fear is not because Allah is mean or something like that. It's because we're thinking about the consequences of the bad things we've done. That's what's stressing us out, what we did. What we did. If a person, and just think about it when it comes to dunya, when it comes to human laws. If you're law abiding and the police, you hear the police, you hear the citizens coming down the street, you don't take off running. If someone takes off running when they're a police siren, you know what? They're guilty. There's something. Why would you run? Why would you run? You're not running. They have no reason to run. So the same reason. Why would somebody be scared, worried about Allah want to do something to them, like, except that when we sin? That's where our stress is coming from. It's not because Allah is just this angry Lord, just seeking and loves punishing, the sadistic Lord. No, this is not what we believe about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the proof of that is, out of all of the sins and wrong that's done in the dunya, He didn't put a fire here to punish people here. But He put gardens here. SubhanAllah. So He put the reward in both places. Gardens under which rivers flow. In the dunya and in after. But then He put the punishment, the place in fire in the after. He could have put it in both. There are gardens here. People live on big villas with gardens with rivers flowing. Pharaoh did it. Amr did it. Qareen did it. Caesar did it. The Ming Empire, they did it. The empires in Africa and Asia, like empires, they had luxury. Allah Ta'ala said, He said, Allah Ta'ala said they had better decor and better furniture than you have. People keep talking about this progress. Allah Ta'ala said in Surah Al-Tawbah, كَالَّذِينَ مِن قَبْلِكُمْ كَانُوا أَشَدَّ مِنكُمْ قُوَّةً. Like those who came before you, they were more powerful than you. وَأَكْثَرُ أَمْوَالٍ وَأَوْلَادًا. And they had more money and children than you. This is the reality. The world is becoming overpopulated. So they had more money and they had more children. And we just look at it. You find one of their old houses broken down, you'll get more money for that than a brand new built house today. Find an old broken down house in an old civilization. Discover that and see how much money you get for it compared to a brand new villa built today. Now, so we fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala based on knowing He is severe in punishment, just as He's most forgiving, most merciful for those who return to Him and repent to Him. Then Allah said that هو الذي جعلكم الأرض بساطا ممهدا. So we talked about that before. That I know this is a big new issue that people talk about now, but this is not new. If we pay attention to the Qur'an and Tafseer, the issue of the earth being flat is not a new issue. Many ulama of the past use these ayat in Surah Al-Nahl, Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah Al-Hijr, and like that to debate the fact of the earth being flat because of these ayat. Surah Al-Nur. He said He made for you the earth flat, laid out.
Based on that,
Huh?
based only on that,
Huh?
otherwise as a whole, from the rock is who went into space, the side as
So they say.
no, they look at
So they say.
they look at the earth as a sphere.
So they say.
They have not,
So they say.
they have not been.
You know, in science, right?
Yeah.
Quickly, I won't go so far. We'll maybe do a separate thing for this. But in science, fire is created from 3 elements, according to science, which is oxygen.
You
You say oxygen, fuel, and friction. There's 3 things you need according to science to make a fire: oxygen, fuel, and friction. Without those 3, if one of them are missing, you can't make a fire. So let's say, right?
Go ahead.
By
Go
way
ahead.
of argument, rockets, blast off. The rocket goes up, according to them.
Fire.
It goes out. It's fire. It fires and goes out into the
No oxygen.
right where they say, according to their same science, that where there's no oxygen, right? There's no more oxygen now, and they go to this far place called the moon, right? And then they also say where there's also no gravity. Okay, beautiful. But they landed without explanation. I don't know. If anyone knows the explanation, you can let me know. So they landed on the moon. They directed themselves without power and without gravity. They directed themselves to the moon from the earth. But once they left our atmosphere, where the oxygen and all of those things that makes things go in a direction of gravity, they were still able to gravitate towards something. And then not only gravitate toward it and direct themselves toward it, they also land on it. So they landed on it.
So there is a moon, the gravity of the moon,
Huh?
the gravity.
And into it. I mean, who says? So now they landed on the moon, according to them, which I'm just bringing their points and arguing their science with their science. So now they landed on the moon. If you look, say Neil Armstrong, first man landed on the moon. So he's the first on the moon. Who set up the tripod to take the picture of him landing? You have a picture of him landing. Who took the picture?
Who was the cameraman?
Who was the
moon?
cameraman that took the picture of Neil Armstrong landing? Let me finish.
Oh my
So,
God.
so you got Neil Armstrong landing on the moon. You got it being filmed. If he's the first person landed, he would have to film him coming off the ship,
Yes.
setting up the trap. But there's a film of him landing, coming out of the ship. Who was the cameraman? Okay.
But they were cameras, with his whatever
He's there first, but there first. Who filmed them? Who was filming them? They're coming out. Who's filming them come out of the ship? Next, we're going to base it on their science. So there's no gravity, right? No gravity. So it means
it's all controlled from the mission center.
from the ship.
Control the earth.
From the earth.
Everything from the earth.
Lord. So they were controlling the gravity from the earth.
No, that's
Fix. That's
They were controlling the gravity of the moon from the earth.
no.
They were controlling the camera from the earth.
equipment they have.
Who put the camera?
How did they get the camera there?
Everything was placed before.
Before.
Who?
But who placed it there?
No, the camera was, I think, in the machine,
In the machine.
in their
Okay, but-
rocket itself.
Everything
They
is
said something, but,
everything was
but
equipped.
no. So I think, no, why you trying to say?
Now,
Let me finish that. Let me finish that. Yeah, let me finish. 1 minute, yeah. No, let me finish. So, okay, they got out. They got to the moon. They got out the ship. They got down. They say there's no gravity there, according to them. So they weren't suits. They're bouncing like that. Now they're landing on the moon. If you watch the scenery, the footage. So now they're leaving prints. There's no gravity. So if no gravity, based on their science, if the print went down, once the foot left off the spot, it should elevate once again. But it didn't. Stayed there. Now they're walking. Based on difference of opinion in science, either the moon gets its light from the sun or the moon itself is a source of light. The difference between the scientists. Okay, so now they're on the moon, which is a source of light. Okay, they have shadows. We know now that if you're on the source of light, you can't cast a shadow. They have shadows. They're on the source. How can you be? You can't stand on you stand on the light bulb. You can't cast a shadow. You're on the source of light. You have to be away from the source of light, and it shines on you. Right.
But the moon is not a source of light.
But they don't even agree on that.
I think they agree.
They don't agree on that. They say some of them say that the moon produces its own light, and some of them say that the sun is cast on the moon. Allah Ta'ala says the moon is its own source of light. That's what the Quran says. The Quran says the moon is its own source of light. Yeah, sorry. The Quran, yeah. So the Quran says that the moon is its own source of light. Now, so now the moon, they're on the source of light, the moon, and they're casting shadows. Once again, we're going to go back to not having gravity, not having oxygen. They take the flag, they plant the flag. Flag is a piece of what? Material. It's no gravity. Why didn't it float up like that? How could it shoot out like this?
it's not.
How could the flag stick out straight like this? If there's no gravity, why didn't the flag float up straight up in there as a piece of, like a helium balloon would? Like anywhere when you don't have gravity, it's going to float up according to their science. Then after that, you have the flag waving. One small step for man, one giant step for mankind. The flag is waving where there's no oxygen. Strange. Strange incident. Strange incident. But the same people created Star Wars, Star Trek, and everything else, and it looks real. Now,
Two things. I think if you research Neil Armstrong, the one who did every video you find about that, he says, I never landed on the moon. Look it up. He doesn't say he says it's a lie. Look it up. Right when you leave, go look it up. Every video he's in, he says, who landed on the moon? Like, and you'll see, inshallah.
and don't forget about the British filmmaker who
Okay,
was
and
found
then
dead.
also
Who said he shot the footage.
and then a movie to watch to show you what they do. Okay, I'm in film. That's what I do. That's why I went to school and I learned some things of how they set up. Watch the movie called Wag the Dog, and they show you how they do. They created this things you're seeing in the East now. That's created on the set.
Yeah.
It's not even hard to find. Just Google and look, and you will see. But Neil Armstrong never says he landed there.
But in closing, let me just say this so we won't get so far off the class. In closing, I'll say this. Brothers, from any background, these kuffar will not hesitate in questioning Allah, but we hesitate to question their science. They don't hesitate to question Allah. Big bang there, take Allah off the picture quick. But we're scared to deny their moon landing. Allah Ta'ala, read all of the tafsir you want. Allah Ta'ala say, Ya ma'shar al-jinn wal-insi, in istata'tum an tanfudhu min aqtar as-samawati wal-ardi. Tanfudhu. La tanfudhuna illa bis-sultan. The scholars say that this ayat is not giving permission. When Allah said, "Oh, group of jinn and men," if it be you can fly beyond the zones of the heavens and the earth, then fly. You will not be able to without authority. They said this is not Allah letting them know that they will have authority. This is Allah denying that they will never have authority to do so. Right? Also, when we read in Surah Al-Mulk, Allah Ta'ala said, وَلَقَدْ زَيَّنَّا السَّمَاءَ الدُّنْيَا بِمَصَابِيحَ. That we decorated the sky of the dunya. They believe in outer space. We believe in seven heavens. Muslims, you have to decide what you want to believe in. If you're going to believe in outer space, or you're going to believe you got seven heavens over you. And at the top of them, the ceiling of those seven heavens is the arsh, the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And under the arsh is a body of water. That body of water is what feeds all of the water sources on the planet Earth. This is our aqidah. This is our belief. They say, you're going to go into another galaxy. We say, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, everything. They say when the earth is destroyed, they're going to go off and live on the moon. We say, إِذَا الشَّمْسُ كُبِّرَتْ وَإِذَا النُّجُومُ انْكَدَرَتْ. SubhanAllah. We say the sun is going to be wrapped up, the sky is going to be split, the stars are going to fall. They think they're going to go live on them. You say they're going to be destroyed. All of a sudden, they're going to be destroyed. They believe they're going to go live on them. They believe that this is our world only. This earth, whether it be round or flat, they believe this is where it is. We believe that the heavens above us and all of that is part of our world. It's part of our world. So just like they challenge Allah Ta'ala and what he has asserted about himself, do not be afraid through education, through indoctrination to challenge science. To challenge it. Prove to me you landed on the moon. You telling me you asked me to prove to you that Allah doesn't exist. Prove to me that you landed on the moon. I don't believe it.
Of course, we should challenge the science. Science cannot be always true. But Allah is saying is of course cannot be wrong.
Yeah.
But science can be wrong. But as science is progressing, the Quran is also confirming a lot of scientific facts.
According to whom?
Our Quran is confirming a lot of things, right?
No, Sheikh. And what I'm saying to you is that this is one of the new fields that Muslims have fallen into that is a big mistake when they say Quran and science. And they say that Quran, this scientific, you said it the correct way, but they say what? Science has confirmed what's in the Quran. Science doesn't confirm.
You
didn't say that.
We confirm that.
You didn't say
Quran
that.
is confirming.
Right. But also we have to be careful. We have to be careful saying the Quran confirms something in science, because in science they say they discover something is this, and then years later they change.
Yes.
So now when they change, if we say that the Quran confirmed that, when they change and say no, it's wrong, we change our opinion on it, it's this now. What do we say about now the Quran confirming it?
But there are a lot of Muslim scientists, Muslim astronomers, which have done a lot of clinical research.
I understand, but the problem with a lot of those Muslim astronomers and like that is that their teachings come from them, from their enemies, not from Islam.
No, but in the past 600
In the,
years,
Ibn Sina apostated. I know he's always mentioned that this great Muslim scientist, he apostated.
Yeah.
Dr. Maurice Bukiel, right?
No. But he was, you have to remember, he was a scientist and accepted Islam. He wasn't a Muslim scholar. See, this is why I have to be careful. Sometimes people are great in their dunya, and then they come to Islam, and we let them speak about Islam without them learning Islam first. So now, Dr. Maurice, he was a scientist. But just because he was a scientist that embraced Islam, it doesn't mean he can get tafsir of the Quran and say, oh, the Quran says this Quran. That's what was inspired him. But he has to study Islam in order to speak and say that the Quran confirms.
But what I'm trying to say is we cannot just disown everything about the scientific.
That's not what we're doing.
Right? And the students have to learn the science, right? And for example, the emerald, science of emerald you mentioned in the Quran. Those people, they accepted it just because of the Quran. But now we see how it is describing the fetus and the formation and all those things, the 3 layers of darkness, so science is confirming, right, here. So what I'm saying, we should encourage the scientific development, right? We cannot deny everything what science is telling us.
That's not what we said. We're speaking about one incident you're going to know. So let's, it has to be kept in context. In order for the point to be made, so you talk about embryology, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about going to the moon.
But I believe
We're talking
that-
about calling the moon another galaxy, and we're talking about, all of that stuff that they're talking about. Islam does not confirm that. Islam doesn't confirm it. And this is why the importance of Islamic knowledge is so important, because no matter how far a person goes in worldly knowledge, science, medicine, chemistry, engineering, and all of that, they still have to return back to the religious scientists to know what is the ruling of those things. Can we build this building this way? Oh, is it permissible? This land that's being used. Oh, doctor, PhD, neurologist, whatever science they have. Is this type of medicine permissible in Islam? So it all turns back. Islam is what judges every other science, and there's no science that judges Islam.
That's true. Yeah, that's
Assalamu
true.
alaikum.
I think most Muslims, every Muslim.
And today, people use science to dictate what Islam should say or not say. No, we say no. Islam says, hold 1 minute, I'm gonna let this brother speak. Jihad, tafaddal.
Now, so I just wanted to mention for the brothers and the sisters to be aware of the fact that the people who are promoting these things that they're saying about going out of space, notice what flag was landed supposedly on the moon. It was the American flag. So we just have to keep in mind that the people who are saying these things are the people who are against Islam. It's also the people who want to promote man to be beyond what he is. Even now, today, we have this thing about uploading the consciousness to a cloud. And if you look into some of these conversations that these atheist scientists are having, they're saying that we don't need to look towards a God. We don't need to look towards a higher power because we're able to do this and do that. So I just wanted to mention that for the brother that's talking, to beware that these people who we're talking about, it's different from if you have some scientists or some people who study the earth that were Muslim, where they can stay grounded and they don't have another agenda with regards to what they're doing. But these people that we're talking about, they actually have an agenda to not only promote man beyond what he's capable of, but to make people forget about the concept of God in and of itself. So I just wanted to mention that.
Barakallahu feek, yeah, but this is not new. Fir'aun tried the same thing. يا هامان ابن لي صرحا لأطلع على إله موسى. He said, yeah, Haman, build me a tower. I want to go see the God of Musa. It's no different. Build me a spaceship, build me a tower. Everybody wants to defeat Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Ya'juj or Ma'juj. Who knows the story of Ya'juj or Ma'juj? Huh? That are still against what these deviant callers are saying, that they don't believe that Ya'juj or Ma'juj can still be on the face of the earth after we have traveled all through the earth, and how that we have not discovered it. This ignoramus that claims to be a scholar in Islam, subhanAllah, and he's as far as from being a scholar as we are right now from the China Wall. Talking about calling the Tafseer of the scholars of the past medieval Tafseer. This ignoramus. So this ignoramus says, how can we believe that Ya'juj Ma'juj is someone who behind the wall after? This is what Allah Ta'ala said.
What's the name of that? What did you say? The name?
What? Ignoramus.
Ignoramus means
Ignorant.
Ignorant.
Oh, ignorant.
Yeah.
ignorant.
Ignorant first. Ignoramus is using science. This is what happens. This individual used to be a caller to Tawheed. And he deviated, and what got this deviation came from what? Studying with the kuffar. And now the same belief that he used to uphold, he speaks against. And he's more closer to an Orientalist than being a Muslim. It's closer to being an Orientalist than being a Muslim.
See, I understand there's something like that.
So, but this is what happens. No, we see the problem is we don't understand like I said. The early men say that the people of knowledge, they see the fitna when it's coming. And they say, Allahu Akbar, this is going to be fitna. And the general people, they see it after it has befalling them. And they say, what's a fitna? But the ulama, before it happens, they say, beware. Listen, guys, this is about to happen. Be careful, be careful. And we say, what are you talking about? You're being too nervous. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. And then, boom. Before you know it, the people what? They've apostated from Islam. This same individual that used to call it Tawheed, what does he say now? Calling on other than Allah is not shirk. It's bid'ah. The scholars say things are made clear through the opposites. We're at this ayat. Ya ayyuhan nas, ud'u rabbakum. U'budu rabbakum, right? Worship your Lord. So he said calling on other than Allah is not shirk. So if calling on Allah is not shirk, the scholars say what? Things are made clear by the opposites. So if calling on other than Allah is not shirk, then calling on Allah alone is not tawheed. Right? So even if you make dua to Allah alone, that's not tawheed. Right? But what happened? He went to those British universities after studying at the University of Medina, and what? Tasarrab, he drank tasharrab. He what does a sponge do? He absorbed that nonsense. It shows you're not safe. He was very knowledgeable in Islam. But when he began absorbing that, so if a person of knowledge, if that could happen to him, then how about a person that's not of knowledge and entertains listening to the ideologies of the kuffar, saying, oh, this is what happens in the kawn, in the creation of Allah. And this is our power. Pharaoh tried it already. Read the story of Pharaoh and Musa. Read the story of the people of Ibrahim. This call of we can do this in other places and using the jinn and all of this stuff, this was done already. It's only repeating itself. It's just going by a different name. Magic and all of the stuff they're doing. All the stuff they're doing, it's not new. And it's why the believers, we shouldn't be coming with anything new. The Prophet ﷺ said what? Alaykum bid-din al-asiq. He said, stick to the old religion. And Imam Malik, what did he say? لا يصلح أمور أواخر هذه الأمة إلا ما أصلح أولها. He said the affairs of the last part of this ummah will not be corrected or rectified except through that which rectified the first part of this ummah. So this is how it goes. So now we get these people, oh no, they want to, okay, you said you made it. Anything you did once you could do again, how come you never made it back? You can never do it again. Every time you shoot somebody there, it blew up. You made it once, you can't do it again. It's amazing. But if you told them that the Prophet made Isra from Mecca to Jerusalem and then Mi'raj, they're going to say, no, that's impossible. It's a fairy tale. Look, Allahu Akbar. Well, say that the Prophet went up and he didn't find what you found. No oxygen in that. He found heavens. Prophets in there, Ibrahim and the children of the children, the Muslim children who died, playing around Ibrahim. That's what the Prophet saw. He went up. He didn't see what you guys saw. So where did you guys go?
There's a what do you call it? So-called alim.
Huh?
There's a so-called alim in Pakistan.
Yeah.
Who says that it is a roya.
La ilaha illallah. This is all the prophecy of the Prophet said that there will be Dajjalin, Dajjal. There's going to be 30 listen Dajjals before the real Dajjal comes. There's going to be 30 Dajjals, all of them claiming prophecy. Farrakhan is one of them. Elijah Muhammad was another one. Who else was another one? And all of the Mormon prophets, Mormons believe they have prophets. All of those are Dajjal.
Noble Drew.
Yeah, Noble Drew Ali. Well, not Noble.
Drew Ali.
Drew Ali. All of these guys are false prophets. All of the prophets in the Mormon and all of that Seventh-day Adventists that claim prophecy after the Prophet Muhammad. The Ahmadiyya who claim Islam. They're not Muslim. They're not Muslim. They say Nasr Ahmed is a prophet after the Prophet Muhammad. Not Muslim. Nation of Islam, not Muslim. They're in prophecy. And Nostradamus, confusion. All of these people. So we have to. One thing we have to say about those individuals that's different from us. No matter how much they see that we have truth with us, you never see them holding up a book from the teachings of Islam, saying, "Oh, Islam really have some good." The weakest link. Oh, but Kufar, they have good points of view. We're always praising them and making them feel and raising them up and saying, but some of the stuff they agree, they never do that with us. They'll never teach their children that some of the things that the Muslims say are true. They won't say that to their children. They won't tell their children, you should learn some things from the Muslims. They won't say that the Muslims are clean. You should make wudu like they do. This is a good thing to do. Now, I'm talking about those who begin to lean towards Islam, want to embrace Islam. I'm talking about the pure Kufar. Pure Kufar, they would never compliment even give their people any idea that what we have is the truth. Why do we do it to them? Why? Let's say, for argument's sake, they went to the moon 700 times and they go to there daily and they have a train that goes there and a bus. What does that have to do with establishing the deen of Islam and teaching our children the correct aqidah, ibadah, and mu'amalat? What does it? What has going to the moon done for mankind in general, and the Muslims in specific? What country benefited from the moon landing? What economy increased because of the moon? What disease was cured because of the moon landing? What crime was stopped because of the moon landing? Landed on the moon. How much money did they spend to do it? And it did nothing for mankind. Nothing. Until today, it does nothing for mankind. And they spend billions of dollars and people are starving. Not in Africa, not in Asia. And Seattle, Washington, and Flint, Michigan, and Memphis, Tennessee. People sleeping on grates downtown. They got boarded up houses, and if you try to move in it, there's vagrancy, you get locked up. In the house, you just have to stay boarded up. This is civilization. This is the civilization, the civilized mentality that we follow. So, we have to, I have hasad. I'm not even gonna say gilpa. I'm saying gilpa is a good jealousy, right? It's like you just wish you had with that. I have hasad for
India.
No, China. Hasad. I have hasad for China. How they are upon falsehood, but they have proudly established their culture wherever they go. They have Black, white, Arab, African, whatever. Everywhere got a dojo, karate, this, that, Chinese, eat with church, things like that. Their culture has been embraced everywhere they go. Because they're proud people. They represent them. Their science, we have hijab. We're shy. Acupuncture is now practiced in hospitals, taken from Chinese medicine. And they have many other things from Chinese medicine that are and that now embraced and accepted in modern medicine. Where are we from when Corona was going on? Where were our doctors telling the people about black seed, telling about honey, telling about fasting? What was our medicine during COVID? What was our ideology? Where was our aqidah showing the people, no, this is what we believe as Muslims? Not who, not CDC, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Right? What was our aqidah? The Prophet ﷺ said, Al-Makkah, Makkah wal-Medina mahrusatan. La yadkhuluhuma at-ta'un wa la dajjal. He said Mecca and Medina are both protected. No plague can enter them, nor can the Dajjal enter them. Based on this hadith, which is muttafaqun alayhi, agreed upon, if there were cases of COVID in Mecca and Medina, it means it wasn't a plague. Because the Prophet said plague doesn't enter Mecca and Medina. So now you have a contradiction. You're saying it's a plague, and then you're saying some people had cases in Mecca and Medina. Muslims.
Science and current.
Muslims. Muslims. What's going on? What about the hadith in Sahih Muslim? The Prophet ﷺ said, La adwa wa la tayyara wa la tayyara. There's no such thing as contagious diseases, nor is there such thing as evil omens. Sahih Muslim, the book of Iman, the book of faith.
Contagious disease.
Contagious diseases.
What is the word the plague? What is the word plague? It is a contagious
Ta'un.
Yes, it's a contagious disease too.
The Prophet negated it being contagious. The Prophet, our mother Aisha had questioned. And Abu Hurairah also, the man questioned the Prophet. The Arabi questioned the Prophet, and our own mother questioned the Prophet. So the Arabi said to the Prophet, why is it, Ya Rasulullah, you said there's no contagious disease? Then why is it that if we have a camel that has mange, and it mixes with those healthy camels, they also catch it? The Prophet said, how did the first one get it? If it's based on catching it from someone, how does the first case happen? If we're going to break down the science of contagion, it means to be transmitted. So how does the first case develop if it's based on transmission? I'm going to finish the point. It's based on the qadr. So based on that, what? We don't believe that a disease is an entity of itself that decides to attach itself and jump from person to person. So when we see this such thing that somebody has a sickness, we separate the healthy people from the sick people. But if someone catches it, it's not according to our Iman bil Qadr, you cannot say you gave me your cold.
Yeah, that's of course.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we say that. This conflicts with belief in the Qadr. You can't give me your cold.
same.
That disease. So who gave you yours? If you were the first one in the house that caught a cold, who gave you yours? Who gave you yours?
Same thing with any disease.
Any disease. So what do? The Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith of Abu Hurairah, La wala tayyara. There's no such thing as contagious disease, nor is there such thing as what? Evil omens. And then he said, وَفِرَّ مِنَ الْجُذَّامِ فِرَارَكْ مِنَ الْأَسَدِ. He said, and flee from the leper the way you would flee from a lion. Now look at this balance. And this is the balance now. So now from this is that a person does not believe that just because someone is sick, he also can get sick. At the same time, a person doesn't just go rubbing up against somebody or, dealing with somebody who's sick. Why? Because the physical attributes now exist. Now the physical entity of disease is present. It's because someone is physically sick. So now that physical entity, not because of the person, that entity that made that person sick has the ability to make you sick too, if Allah decrees for that. Yeah. But to close the case that, oh, somebody got it, oh, I got it from you, you got it from me, or they're going to get it from us, that is a false concept. It goes against Islam. It goes against Iman bil Qadr. It goes against belief in the Qadr. Right? And this happened years ago. في طاعون أمواس, the plague of Amwas. It happened in Asham.
Yes.
The lands of Sham. Look at the Sahaba who died in it. Mu'adh bin Jabal died in Ta'un Amwas. Mu'adh bin Jabal died in that Abu Ubaidah al-Jarrah died in that one, and Amr ibn al-As. The ulama, the Sahaba, these are Sahaba now, right? So now we say we follow Qur'an and Sunnah according to the understanding of the Sahaba. Not just the understanding, but the implementation. What did the companions do when a plague broke out during their time? What did they do? The hadith in Sahih Muslim also. The Prophet ﷺ says what? If you're in a land that انتشر فيه طاعون فلا يخرج منه. This is a jumla shartiyya, conditional sentence. فرارا منه. He said, if you're in a land in which a plagues break out, don't leave out of that land. Fleeing from the plague.
Don't go in there.
أجمع العلماء. The scholars are in agreement that if a person was in a land and a plague broke out in that land and they were leaving their normal travel, not out of fear of the disease, that it is permissible for them to travel to another land, return to their families. Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen said he used this hadith in the explanation of Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani to prove the falsehood of what they call social distancing. He says false, batil. Al-Hajar al-Sahih, doctrine. He said, it's false. What's such thing social distancing? Because the Prophet ﷺ said, do not leave from that land, fleeing from it. But if you left without fleeing from it, you can leave and return to your family.
No, you're saying do not flee. But if you go to...
He said, don't flee from that land, fleeing from the disease.
Yeah.
The condition is, you couldn't leave if you're leaving thinking, oh, there's a disease breaking out here. I'm getting it so I don't get sick. That's the impermissibility. But if you're leaving normally, the disease spread out, people sick everywhere. People got COVID everywhere. You say, you know what? Well, I'm finished my work and I'm going home. So I said, no, you didn't leave. You know, you're going to take COVID with you. No, it's false. Because the Prophet, his condition was that you don't leave fleeing from the disease, but you can leave for any other reason you want. This isn't.
But he recommended to stay, right? Keep
No. He didn't say. He said, don't leave fleeing from the disease. That's the only condition the Prophet made in the hadith. You can go to Sharh al-Bukhari lil-Almi, Ibn Rajab, Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. 50 explanations inside Bukhari, you're going to find the same information. Umar radiallahu anhu even said, and Ibn al-Qayyim, he did a big write-up on this. Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, and Ibn Suyuti. Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, he did a write-up on the falsehood of social distancing, and he had 2 daughters that died in the plague. But he explained the hadith and showed what? That the plague is the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? Whoever's plague is going to hit no matter where they go.
They would have died.
Yeah, they're going to die no matter what. Right? But we don't intentionally go toward the plague. Just like the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever sleeps on a slanted roof that doesn't have a wall around it has removed himself from the protection of Allah. Right? Because he put himself into danger. So we don't intentionally throw ourselves in the harm's way. But at the same time, don't say, oh man, he got it. Stay away from it, you're going to get it. And then there's another hadith in Bukhari from our mother Aisha radiallahu anha, because our mother Aisha, Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, Abu Hurairah, wa Abdullah ibn Umar, they said that hadith, the end of the hadith where the Prophet said, flee from the leper like you would flee from a lion, he said it was abrogated. And they said that we saw the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had 2 people with leprosy as guests, and he ate with them out of the same bowl. So they say, Ibn al-Qayyim, he breaks it all down, and he said, so the balance between all of these texts is that at-tawakkul, at-tawakkul for the mu'min al-qawi, the strong believer, then he doesn't have to take those precautions. He doesn't have to worry about it. If he's working with tawakkul, then he doesn't have to. And for the weak believer takes those precautions because his iman is weak. So he takes those precautions, and he says, if you look at all of the evidence, you could not speak ill of this one or that one. You can't speak ill of those who take some precautions, and you can't speak ill of those who say, "I'm put my trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'm not worried about it."
The same thing applies to taking medicine or not.
Definitely no.
They don't take medicine. Also.
But in reality, it's taking medicine is closer to being an obligation than being a choice.
But if somebody doesn't want to take it, we cannot.
Right. Yeah, you can't force it. Yeah, you can't force it. No. Because the Prophet says, tadawu, that's an order. And in usul al-fiqh, every command points to an obligation, except with a qarina, another text that makes it less than an obligation. So the Prophet ordered, tadawu, take medicine, take your treatment. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ مَا أَنزَلَ دَاءً إِلَّا أَنزَلَ مَاهُ دَوَاءً. Because Allah didn't send down a plague or a disease, except that He sent down with it what? Its cure. عَلِمَهُ مَنْ عَلِمَهُ وَجَهِلَهُ مَنْ جَهِلَهُ. The one who knows it, knows it. The one who doesn't, does it. Which shows that medicine, what? It's ijtihad. It's ijtihad. This is, it's medical practice. They're practicing. They're trying to figure out, is this going to work? And this is why in her later years, our mother Aisha, radiallahu anha, she became a doctor. She was a doctor amongst the Sahaba. And they said, you? How did you become a doctor? How did you start? She became known for treating people. How did you become a doctor? She said, I used to get sick, and I would be prescribed things, and other people got sick, and they would be prescribed things, and I would write those prescriptions down. So when I see when I see the same symptoms, I give the same prescriptions that were given to those symptoms that I saw. SubhanAllah.
Our mother,
Mother Aisha,
she was able to read and write.
No.
And then one more.
No.
How about Abdullah ibn Raha? He was stopped from coming back to Medina by Omar, right?
Oh, what? So remind me of the story.
Because of the plague.
I have to look back and look into that story. Because I know that Omar, he's the one who didn't go.
Yeah, he didn't go, but also ordered them not to come.
I don't know. I'll look into that story. Even if we say Umar did it, this is the ijtihad. It was the Khalifa, the ijtihad of Umar. The ijtihad of Umar. We have the text. We have the Sahaba. So we have their tatbiq. Even in the plague of Amwas, Amr ibn al-As, he saw that the people should separate. Right? Social distance, if you want to call it. What was his social distance? People who were, this is from our fiqh, Islam is beautiful. People who were clearly sick should stay away from people who were clearly not sick. This asymptomatic, that you're sick but you're not sick, did not exist. Either you're clearly sick or you're not. There's no such thing as you're sick but not sick at the same time. So you're in purgatory. You're somewhere in between. This purgatory thing. So if the whole world was clearly sick, they should get away. And this is why after Mu'adh died. When he said, because and Mu'adh acted off the hadith of the Prophet. The Prophet said that a plague is from the mercy from the mercies of Allah. And the one who dies in it gets the level of shaheed, the reward of a martyr. So when the plague happened in Mu'adh raised his hand and said, Ya Allah, give the family of Mu'adh a piece of this mercy. And his son died. Yeah. And then he said, oh, Lord, give me a piece. He was thinking about himself, he wasn't worried about it. So his son died. He said, Ya Allah, give me a piece. And then Mu'adh ibn Jabal, then he died. Then after that, took his place.
Seeking, I think it is not advisable to, I know whatever he did is dead, but you don't knowingly ask for something bad.
No, asking for something that will give you the level of a martyr is no different than going out to the battlefield intending to be killed. Different, not like strapping a bomb to yourself. That's the impermissible one. But like the Hadiqat al-Maut, that battle, the Garden of Death. And when the Kuffar were inside the fortress, they were shooting flaming arrows over, killing and burning the Muslims up. And then they said, no, catapult me over in there. They said, no, you're going to get killed, all of them. They said, catapult me in. And they catapulted him in, and he slid down. He would be with spears and arrows, and like that, he got the gate open. He got the gate open. The Muslims got in and killed him. Yeah, like that. So it depends on the situation and reward in it, but it doesn't go to the point of, and I want to make this point very important. It goes to the point where the affliction has to come from outside, not from inside. So with those, deviant scholars who try to equate suicide bombing to the Hadiqat al-Maut or to the dua of Mu'adh, no. Mu'adh made the dua. He didn't go looking for somebody who was sick and say, come here, let me suck your blood. And he didn't do that. He said, so if Allah wanted him to die as a martyr, Allah would choose him if he would still live. So he said, oh, Allah, give me a piece of this ni'mah, this mercy, this rahmah. And Allah allowed the plague to hit him, and he passed away. So it's not like someone who would look, oh yeah, I heard there's a plague somewhere. I want to travel there so I can get sick. No, it's not the same. It's not the same.
I did one question. Did Hazrat Mu'adh ask this dua after he knew that the plague,
Yes.
whoever is afflicted with plague, he will be.
Of course, yeah. He's one of the narrators of the hadith. He knew the hadith. Yeah. Mu'adh is from the Kibar Sahaba, from the major scholars of Sahaba. So he made this dua, and they had the ikhtilaf. But however, this is what we must know. Not like what we did during COVID. None of the masajid were closed during the time of that plague. The Muslims prayed in Jama'ah normally during that plague.
But with distance.
No, I'm talking about the plague, the Sahaba. I'm not talking about what Muslims did today, the fresh Muslims did, the modern Muslims. I'm talking about the Muslims that we take from the past. They didn't do anything like that in the past. The closest thing that they came to the social distancing was the fatwa of Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As. He said what? Everybody's sick, tajabbalu. Go off into the mountains. Exile yourself from the people that are well. He did that after Mu'adh died, and then after Abu Ubaidah al-Jarrah died, then he was now the leader of that region. So his fatwa was no. It's ikhtilaf. And their statements are equal. The text comes to support one of them. So all of their fatwa were equal. So the fatwa of not doing it, the leader was who at the time? Mu'adh. So they didn't do it, listening to their leader. The fatwa of doing it, it wasn't the way it was done. Those who were clearly sick, that had the plague on their body, flee. Go up into the mountains, which is sick, and they died off in the mountains. All of them. They died off. And the people that were not sick, they lived. And then that was the fatwa of Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As during that time. So now, all in all, you ikhwan, in closing, because it's time for the Isha, we have to uphold what we have, spread it, teach it learn it ourselves, teach it to our families, and not second guess what we have based on anybody's opinion, because no one gives us that much consideration. Nobody second guesses their science, their civilization, their culture because of Islam. So we have to have the same position, because what we have came from Allah. What they have came from their own diligence and research, and has more likelihood to be wrong than right. So we have to uphold what we have in this Quran. We have to uphold what we found in the Sunnah, hold to it, be diligent upon it, because this is what caused those nations that came before, or rather, those who passed on before us to remain steadfast. And this is why they were sad. That's an island, rather. That's why they controlled the world. And this is why the world controls us today. Why? Because we have become followers of those who should be following us. The world is waiting for the Muslims to lead them, but the Muslims are following them. The world is waiting for the Muslims to lead them. If the Muslims take their true position in the world would accept the position of the Muslims. It's why should we doubt it? It happened before. Look at the situation with Spain now. Spain is nothing. And look at the prestige that Spain had when the Muslims controlled it.
Yeah.
Look at Turkey now, following Europe. And look how Turkey was when the Muslims had the Khalifa and when the Muslims were running it. Think about the world, study your history of Muslims. And think about, look at Western Africa and the so-called Gulf countries now. Look at it when Mansa Musa was running that region, was sending sadaqah to Mecca and sending sadaqah to Misr and sending sadaqah to Iraq. Look how the Muslim world was then, and look at it now under French rule. The world is waiting for us to lead. If you ask any honest person from those regions with the Muslim rule, how much better life was and how much further they were advanced when they were under the rule of the Muslims, they will not, a truthful person that's not prejudiced will not deny, honestly, it was better. It was better. It was safer. This is why even today, look on YouTube, how many African Americans, non-Muslims, are fleeing, they're leaving America because of racism, because of police brutality like that. They're fleeing, they're going back to Africa. Africa has Christian countries, Liberia, Congo, Rwanda, and like that. Where are they going? Gambia, Senegal. They're going to Muslim African countries. They're not Muslim, but they're fleeing to Muslim African countries. Why? They feel safer with Muslims. They feel safer. They know that the Muslims don't, they know there's propaganda. They know Muslims don't kill people for no reason. But they know if you're in a Muslim country, you could die for nothing. You could die for nothing in the so we're sitting here in the mountain. We know it. We're in Flint, Michigan. Who can deny it? You can die for nothing in America, in the most civilized nation in the world. You can die for nothing. They said at any given time, there could be at least, what they said, at any given time, there could be over 200, and I think I'm off by a couple hundred actually, serial killers at loose at one time. In my studies in 2008 of crime in America, it said that 76% of the serial killers of the world are middle-class white Americans. Middle class, this means educated. What middle class during that time was somebody that made anywhere between $150,000 to $300,000 a year. That was considered middle class that time. That time I was studying. So this means an educated individual. So if an educated individual can go around killing people for the fun of it, what does an uneducated person do to it? Now, so we have to return to our deen in order to return to our izzah. And in closing, I'll say what Umar radiallahu anhu said when he was riding with a slave, and they were going to Jerusalem, and they had one camel. So Umar would walk, and then the slave would ride, and then the slave would walk and Umar would ride. So we'd take turns. One time Umar was riding, one time the slave was riding. One time Umar was riding, one time the slave was riding. Until finally, when they got to the gates of Jerusalem, whose turn was it? It was the slave's turn. So he was riding. Umar was walking beside the camel. So they're telling no believers, no, you can't look at all these people, the prestigious people, like, like he's walking. He was barefoot, he's carrying sandals, walking barefoot. So what are you doing? You can't meet these people like this. What did Umar say to him? Inna kunna fi jahiliyyah. He said, we were in ignorance. Well, a'azzana Allah bil Islam. And then Allah raised us to honor with Islam. فَإِذَا ابْتَغَيْنَا الْعِزَّةَ فِي غَيْرِ الْإِسْلَامِ لَأَعْطَانَا Allah. So if we begin to seek honor in other than Islam, Allah will humiliate us. But we don't want to talk about these statements and these actions as if they're, nice sayings that come out of fortune cookies. We want to live them. We say them, but we say it like, oh, that's a cool statement. I'm gonna put it on Facebook. And just like, something nice to say. But when we're gonna really say, yeah, we were in Jahiliyyah, and then Allah put us to honor through Islam. If we seek honor through other than Islam, look at us Muslims. Fastest growing, most controlled. Nah. So I'll stop here. I know I keep saying I'm gonna stop here. I just love sitting with you brothers. Alhamdulillah. Look at
Whether you have points some, excuse me.
Oh, you'll say something else?
Oh, actually, can you, is it the firmament? Is the ceiling?
The arsh is the ceiling.
No.
The ceiling of the heavens?
La.
No.
Oh. Are you familiar with the saying that this earth has a ceiling?
Mm-hmm.
What? It's not called the firmament?
Yeah,
No.
What does that mean?
exact word I'm forgetting, but it's something.
In Arabic, I'm trying to figure what it is in Arabic
Oh,
firmament is.
That's I was hoping you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because it ties in with
yeah.
not going.
Because I know the ceiling, the ceiling. Oh, you're talking about not going, yeah. I mean, Allah said in something that stars, what they say are beyond the moon,
Right.
are the decoration for the lowest heaven. That's the ceiling of the lowest heaven, the
Ceiling.
stars. But they say as soon as you go out of this ozone, you're out of space. We say no, our ceiling for not for the heavens, all of the heavens and earth, the ceiling for all of the heavens and the earth, and all the earth is the arsh of Allah.
It says the heavens of the sky.
Right.
The meaning of firmament, it
Oh.
says the heavens or the sky, especially when regarded as a tangible.
Now,
So it'd be the
Yeah.
lowest.
the lowest heaven.
The
Yeah.
lowest
You
heaven.
can't get behind that.
And then one thing else, it's a video.
The Jinn tried to. إِنَّا كُنَّا نَقْعُدَ مِنْهَا مَقَاعِدَ لِلسَّمْعِ. They said we used to sit, they get a listing. They used to sit under the lowest heaven, they listen to the top. And then they would go tell the soothsayers.
Yeah, but
That's going to be decreed. That's going to be decreed. They said, فَمَنْ يَسْتَمِعِ الْآنَ يَجِدَ لَهُ شِهَابًا رَصَدًا. And whoever tries to what? Listen now, they will find a flaming fire waiting to ambush a shooting star. What the scientists about say shooting star? They don't say we say. They don't say, oh, that's because the jinn was trying to listen to the future and then Allah Ta'ala sent the shooting star. They say something else. So our science and their science is two different sciences.
So, our family went to the north
No.
to see the shooting stars.
Yeah.
The northern lights.
Shooting star.
Shooting stars.
And this what it was.
It was dark and everybody was quiet and just because so the shooting stars were every now and then.
Uh-huh.
So
And they don't understand that that's the jinn trying to speak a hearing
Yeah.
and that thing.
Can
And they
you
were
say that?
prohibited. Yeah. So I think that's what you're talking about, that
No.
prohibition, that right there.
No.
You can find it, if you go to
It was
Tafseer,
the sky.
sort of the Hijr.
Mhm.
So the Tafsir sort of the Hijr gives you
but
Sanaki Buruja.
Mhm.
they're all under the first sky, under the first heaven. All our
Yeah, all of that
Then-
stuff.
they're under the first heaven.
Under.
Under the first heaven. Under the second and third and fourth. So man can never go beyond the first heaven.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, but going to the when we cannot deny the man going to the moon. That's not.
I deny it totally. I don't believe it, doctor. I don't believe it, man. Nobody wants to believe it.
Uh-uh.
I don't believe it. There's no reason to believe it. Just like they don't believe the Prophet ﷺ went from Mecca to Jerusalem one night.
You believe that? Of course,
Just like they don't believe that the Prophet went from Mecca to Jerusalem and then went up to the heavens. And then he went to Sidratul Muntaha and he received the Prophet ﷺ. They don't confirm that. Huh? They don't confirm. They don't believe the Prophet split the wall.
The Hindu king of Kerala, he saw that and he went all the way to Makkah and accepted Islam. There's a king in Hindu Kerala. So that's okay.
South India.
Kerala has the most number of Muslims
Yeah.
now,
Now,
and the first Islam came to Kerala.
yeah.
So he saw that,
Mhm.
he went, he became one of the companions. He went and then he died there. He died in on his way back in Oman.
On his way.
In Oman. His grave was in Oman. And this is a really amazing story.
Yeah.
And then he told his son that's what happened. I accepted Islam, and his son became Muslim and he spread Islam in Kerala.
Allah Akbar. So that's why Islam got so strong in a particular.
Yeah, in that
Because of the traders also, traders.
نعم نعم. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Abu Yusuf.
وعليك السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. بارك الله فيك.